Have you ever met someone who seemed perfectly calm, polite, even kind, yet something about them felt off? You couldn't quite explain it, but there was a quiet sense of unease. What if real danger in people isn't found in anger, aggression, or open hostility, but in something much more subtle? Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychiatrist, believed that the most dangerous kind of person often hides behind the appearance of control, calmness, and charm. The danger isn't loud, it's quiet. It blends in, and that's why it's so easy to miss until it's too late. In this video, we'll explore Jung's deep psychological insights and uncover the warning sign you should never ignore. By the end, you might see certain people, and maybe even yourself, in a new light. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Mental Dose channel and join our Telegram community, where you'll get early access to new videos and insights on personal and spiritual growth. Now, let's get started. To understand Jung's warning, we first need to look at how he viewed the human mind. Jung believed that every person wears a mask, a social persona we show to the world. It's how we function and fit into society. But behind that mask lies the unconscious, a vast inner world filled with instincts, buried emotions, and universal human patterns. One of the most important parts of this inner world is what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is made up of all the parts of ourselves we reject or hide, the traits we don't want to admit we have. Jung said the shadow doesn't come only from society, it forms from the gap between who we truly are and who we think we're supposed to be. As children, we learn what gets us love and approval. We're told which behaviors are good and which are not. So we hide the parts that don't fit, things like anger, ambition, independence, or vulnerability. Over time, we identify only with the traits that earn us praise, and we push everything else deep down. But the parts we reject don't disappear, they wait. They influence our thoughts, reactions, and relationships in ways we often don't see. That's why the shadow can be so powerful and dangerous when ignored. It's not evil, it's just unseen. It holds our fears, our jealousy, our desires, and even our hidden strengths. But when we deny these parts, they twist and grow in unhealthy ways. People who can't face their own darkness often project it onto others, blaming the world for what they refuse to see in themselves. Jung saw this as one of the greatest psychological dangers of all, when someone appears kind and composed on the outside but is completely disconnected from their inner shadow. That's the quiet kind of danger, the one that hides behind perfection. It hides behind composure, charm, and control. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, believed that the most dangerous kind of person isn't the one who openly shows their flaws, but the one who hides them completely, even from themselves. Their calmness isn't peace. It's repression. And repression, Jung warned, always comes with a cost. When a person denies their darker impulses, those feelings don't disappear. They sink into the unconscious, gathering energy, waiting for a moment to surface. Jung famously said, "What is not made conscious will be lived out as fate." The parts of ourselves we refuse to face begin to shape our lives in secret. We think we're in control, but really, the unconscious is pulling the strings. The unconscious isn't just a place where emotions are stored. It's alive, creative, and always seeking expression. When we reject parts of ourselves, anger, jealousy, ambition, fear, they don't stay quiet. They transform. They find their way into our lives through indirect, often destructive, means. You see it in people's nightmares, in compulsive habits they can't explain, in sudden emotional breakdowns, or in patterns of self-sabotage that seem to repeat endlessly. These are signs of the shadow, the hidden self, trying to be seen. Jung believed that the longer we ignore these signals, the stronger they become. Pressure builds inside the psyche until something breaks. The person who looks calm and collected on the outside may be living with chaos within. Over time, the gap between their public image and their inner truth grows unbearable. The tension has to go somewhere. Sometimes it shows up as explosive anger, cutting sarcasm, manipulation, or subtle cruelty disguised as kindness. They may not even understand why they hurt people or why they feel empty. But underneath it all lies the same cause, an unacknowledged shadow. This becomes especially dangerous when it's mixed with the illusion of moral purity. Jung warned that the people we should be most careful of aren't those who openly struggle with their flaws, but those who believe they have none. When someone is convinced they are always kind, righteous, or morally superior, they lose the ability to question their own motives. That's what makes moral superiority so treacherous. It blinds a person to their own darkness. They justify control as protection, manipulation as help, and cruelty as love. On the surface, their actions look noble. Underneath, they're avoiding their shadow at all costs. Jung noticed that the more someone clings to being good, the more likely they are to act out its opposite unconsciously. Because they've buried any awareness that darkness exists within them, it begins to express itself through their behavior in ways they don't recognize. The shadow, denied and ignored, finds another way to live. And this brings us to Jung's most chilling realization. The most dangerous kind of person is not the one with darkness inside, we all have that, but the one who denies it completely. When someone believes they are incapable of wrongdoing, when they think they could never be cruel, selfish, or dishonest, they become truly unpredictable. It's not their darkness that makes them dangerous. It's their blindness to it. People who are aware of their flaws are usually safer to trust because they know the harm they could cause and consciously try to prevent it. But those who see themselves as purely good can rationalize anything. They rewrite reality to preserve their self-image. And in doing so, they hurt others without ever realizing it. Jung called this a kind of spiritual blindness, the inability to see one's own shadow. So when you meet someone who insists they're always right, always moral, always kind, take a step back. Ask yourself, what are they not seeing in themselves? What darkness have they buried so deep that they can no longer recognize it? The answer might protect you more than you think. The truth is, every human being carries a shadow. The difference between danger and wisdom lies in whether we choose to face it. Because the more we dare to see our own darkness, the less power it has over us, and the more light we can bring into the world.